You know, some stories aren't just designed to scare you. They're meant to be a warning about our actions, their consequences, and this cosmic balance that always, eventually, finds a way to restore itself. So let's get into a story where the past is never really buried, and every single ember holds a memory.
This saying is basically the soul of our story. It gets at a simple but kind of terrifying truth. The universe is always keeping score. See, the fire you light for someone else, it doesn't just burn them, it remembers. And one day, it will come back for you. Our story starts on the very night that fire has finally returned to collect a debt that is long overdue.
All right, so I want you to picture this, a totally desolate cremation ground, miles away from anywhere. There's an Agari Sadhu, a mystic with immense power, and he's sitting in front of a dying funeral pyre. He's trying to perform this really dark, potent ritual, one that's supposed to give him power over the dead. He's so confident, so sure of his power, and he has absolutely no idea that he's the one actually being hunted.
And this is the exact moment everything just falls apart for him. He's chanting these powerful mantras, fully expecting the flames to roar to life, but they don't. They just kind of sputter, they resist him, and then, poof, nothing. Dead silence. And out of that cold ash, a spirit rises, but she isn't in agony. She's there in judgment. Her gaze isn't that of a victim, it's one of absolute authority.
You can just imagine it, right? That smug smile on his face just freezes. The second the spirit's eyes lock onto his, something inside him just snaps. His sacred Rudraksha beads, his spiritual shield that he's worn for decades, it shatters and falls into the ash. His protection is just gone. And for the first time, maybe in his entire life, he feels pure, unfiltered terror and just collapses.
So what does he do? He runs. He scrambles away from the cremation ground, back to the one place he thinks he's safe, his ashram, his sanctuary. He really believes he's escaped the horror at the pyre, but he's about to learn a really chilling lesson. The horror wasn't at the pyre. The horror is for him, and it has followed him home.
But when he gets there, it's not a sanctuary anymore. It's a scene of just total violation. The villagers try to blame it on a storm, but get this. No other home was even touched. The attack was targeted, no question. His sacred texts are shredded, his idols are smashed to pieces. This wasn't random destruction, it was a message. All his years of spiritual practice just wiped away, his holy space deliberately and violently desecrated.
And this is where the real terror kicks in for him, because it's not just an attack from the outside, it's coming from within. He tries to perform a cleansing ritual to light the sacred fire, but the second he makes his offering, the flames die. His mantras feel like empty words coming out of his mouth. The spiritual power that literally defined his entire life has been stripped away, leaving him totally and completely vulnerable. And then he hears it. The first real clue in this whole nightmare. A whisper, just carried on the wind through the trees, repeating one name, over and over again. Ashwini. It's not a name he recognizes from the pyre, and now it's just echoing in his head, this tormenting riddle that he can't solve. Who is Ashwini?
So now he's desperate, right? Totally powerless. He starts digging around, trying to find any clue that could possibly explain the chaos that's taken over his life. He even goes back to the cremation ground because he needs to understand what he's up against. But the truth, well, it's way more complicated than he could ever imagine.
And here is the central mystery, laid out plain and simple. On the marker at the cremation site, he finds the name of the body that was on the pyre, a Parajita, a Kinnar. But that's not the name that's haunting his every waking moment. Which leads to the big question. If he was trying to raise the spirit of a Parajita, who is Ashwini, and why does her name bring so much fear?
Okay, so things are about to get way, way worse. He's at a village wedding, trying to feel some sense of normal, but for him, all the sounds of celebration just fade into this terrifying silence. And there, visible only to him, is the spirit of a Kinnar. She isn't screaming or attacking. She's just standing there, clapping. A slow, rhythmic, menacing clap that drives him insane, and he runs out into the night, his sanity just hanging by a thread. As he's running, just terrified out of his mind through the forest, something finally clicks. That fear. It unlocks a memory that he's kept buried for years. A past that was covered in ash and sealed with violence comes rushing back.
And this is where the story completely flips, because we're about to find out our protagonist isn't the victim here. He's the cause.
And here it is, the ugly truth. Ashwini was a beloved Kinnar who was teaching the villagers to reject superstition, which, of course, threatened the influence of the local sadhus, including the very man we've been following. So they weaponized fear. They branded her a witch, turned an entire village against one woman. They dragged her into the forest, and in a truly horrific act of violence, they burned her alive.
As Ashwini was dying, the Kinnar community laid down a curse, a promise of payback. And notice, the curse wasn't just on the sadhus, it was on the whole village that just stood by and let it happen. It's such a chilling reminder that doing nothing also has consequences. So this isn't just one spirit haunting him, it's the fulfillment of a powerful collective curse.
So, let's get back to the present. With that horrible memory now crystal clear, the sadhu finally understands everything. Aparajita, the spirit from the pyre, and Ashwini, the girl he murdered, they're working together. All the strange events, the whispers, the destruction of his ashram, it was all part of a plan. Karma is closing its circle.
So you have to wonder, right? As he's just standing there, paralyzed by the truth of his own monstrous actions, is there any way out of this? Can a man who did something so awful ever find forgiveness or, freedom from the consequences?
And the answer? It's simple. It's absolute. Nope, no way. There is no freedom. There is only payment. The fire he lit for someone else all those years ago has come back, and it is here to claim what it's owed.
And just like that, Aparajita's spirit materializes right in front of him. He hits his knees, begging for the same mercy he denied Ashwini. But there's no mercy here. She lifts him into the air like he weighs nothing, and as she drags him back toward the cremation ground, the last of his Rudraksha beads fall off his body, his final protections just vanishing into the dirt.
And this is where it all comes full circle. In this moment of just perfect, terrifying symmetry, she throws him onto the cold wood of the very same pyre where he tried to do his dark ritual. He is right back where the story started, but now the roles are completely reversed. He is the offering, and all around him, the silent, watching spirits of the Kinnar have formed a circle of judgment.
This is it, the final act of karmic justice. The end is a perfect, horrifying mirror of the beginning. A piece of burning sandalwood, just like the one they used on Ashwini, is brought forward. Aparajita takes it and just drops it onto the sadhu, and as the flames erupt, his screams fill the night, a horrifying echo of the exact same screams he chose to ignore all those years ago.
Which leaves us with one last kind of haunting question, doesn't it? When the consequence so perfectly mirrors the crime, does it stop being simple revenge and become something more, like a restoration of balance or a form of justice that the human world failed to deliver? It really makes you ask, where exactly is the line between justice and revenge? And maybe, just maybe, sometimes they're the exact same thing.